This podcast is brought to you by RevUp Academy. Ever feel like you're walking into the new year with the same old goals and the same old habits, hoping something magically clicks in your customer success career? You want more confidence, more revenue leadership, and a real path to promotion, but nothing changes because you never get the right guidance, the right support, or the right coaching at the right time. Now imagine stepping into 2026 as a completely different version of yourself, the revenue-minded customer success pro that teams fight to hire, the strategic partner your executives trust, and the person who knows exactly how to run a value-driven conversation, influence renewals, and of course, tie customer outcomes to commercial impact. That's the version of you that is not a fantasy. It just needs the right room, the right frameworks, and of course, the right coaching. And that's exactly what I teach inside of RevUp Academy. And that is exactly why I built RevUp Academy. It's my exclusive 6-week coaching program for a small group of ambitious customer success pros who want to level up fast. We only open doors a few times a year because the program is intentionally intimate and high touch. If you want to be the first to know when doors open in 2026, go ahead and head over to thecustomersuccesspro.com/revup and join the VIP waitlist. Everyone on the VIP waitlist gets early access and special pricing, so make sure you're on it. If you're serious about a better you in 2026, this is where your transformation starts. Head over to thecustomersuccesspro.com/revup. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Anika Zubair, and welcome to the Customer Success Pro podcast, your go-to space for real talk, expert advice, and actionable insights in the world of customer success. I'm a CS executive leader, award-winning strategist, CS coach, and customer success fanatic. I help CSMs and CS leaders build the skills and the confidence to become revenue-driving pros and scale world-class CS teams. So whether you're brand new to CS or a seasoned leader, this podcast is here to support your growth. Because customer success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I'm here to be your guide and navigate every step of your journey. So join me every Wednesday where you'll get fresh CS tips, tricks, and strategies you can actually use. Some weeks I'll share my own insights and best practices from working in CS over the last 13 years. And once a month, I'll bring on expert guests to dive into the most relevant and pressing topics in customer success today. So if you're ready to level up, hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in, and let's make your CS journey a little bit easier together. Have you ever looked at your calendar and thought, why does my day feel like a never-ending to-do list? You jump from tickets to training to emails to check-in calls, and then suddenly it's 4 p.m. and you have not done anything that actually moves your accounts forward. And here is the harsh truth that most CS pros never actually hear. I just want to let you know that you are not measured on how many tasks you actually complete in a day. You are measured on the value you create. And once you understand that, everything about your role, about your confidence, and your revenue impact will shift. So today we are getting into that one shift that turns you from a task doer who is always behind to a revenue advisor who leads conversations, actually influences outcomes, and actually drives revenue growth. And the best part is you do not need to be in sales to be revenue minded. I hope if you have been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I am an advocate for the post-sales or the customer experience or customer success team being the biggest revenue driver in a business. But we do have to have a different mindset and shift into being revenue leaders. And that's what we're going to cover. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you the simple shift that separates average CS pros from the truly strategic ones. I'm going to walk through the myths that are holding us back and the mistakes that people keep getting stuck in that reactive mode and exactly what commercial ownership looks like in a normal week as a customer success professional. So If you're here to build confidence and become a true revenue generating expert, you are in the right place. And I teach this every day inside of RevUp Academy. And today you are going to get a preview of that shift. But before we jump in, please make sure you are following the podcast, subscribe wherever you listen, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And if you have just a spare second, I would so appreciate it if you leave a comment or a review, because it truly helps more CS professionals find this show and level up their careers. And it just makes my day. So thanks for leaving that review. Hey, I just wanted to quickly jump in and let you know that we are bringing back our free RevUp masterclasses in 2026. If you are listening to this episode and thinking, I really need help to level up my revenue skills this year, but I have no idea where to start, you are exactly who I built RevUp Masterclass for. Last year, so many CS pros told me they wanted to drive more revenue and build better executive conversations and stop feeling like they were guessing their way through value, but they never actually got the training they needed. Now imagine walking into 2026 with total clarity. You know how to shift every call from a check-in to a value-led conversation. You know how to run discoveries that actually uncover expansion, and you know how to build trust so your customer views you as a strategic partner instead of a friendly task doer. That is the version of you that we are building in this next masterclass. And the best part, it's totally free. The next RevUp Masterclass is happening on Wednesday, January 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And I only run these a few times a year, and seats always fill up every single time. But because you are hanging out with me here on the podcast, you get first access to sign up. So do not wait. Spots are limited, and I do not want you to miss it. So go and sign up and get your front row seat at the first masterclass of the year. Just go to thecustomersuccesspro.com/masterclass. That's thecustomersuccesspro.com/masterclass. All right, let's get back to the episode. All right, let me set the scene. You have opened your laptop and your inbox is truly exploding. Your brain immediately switches into survival mode. Respond, fix, reply, schedule, chase, respond, fix, reply, schedule, chase. And that becomes your new normal. But the problem with that is when you operate only from your inbox, you are reacting to everyone else's priority. I don't know if you've heard this before, but your inbox is someone else's priorities. So instead of owning commercial priorities that actually drive renewals and expansion, you end up putting other people's needs before renewals and expansion. And this is why so many CS professionals feel like they cannot get ahead. They live in a loop of activity instead of impact. And that loop is exactly what stops them from being seen as a strategic revenue advisor. So I coach a lot of people around being revenue focused and commercially savvy and confident. And there's a lot of mistakes that I see happen still till this day. Even some of the most strategic CSMs are making this. And one of the mistakes I just want to call out is believing that speed ends up equaling value. So your customer does not renew because you answer emails super quickly. They renew because you help them hit their goals. So if you think responding instantaneously when your customer sends an email, or if you think staying up super late to get back to your customer and sending them emails is going to actually hit their goals, I mean, maybe, but most likely it's not an email that's helping them hit their goals. So you need to really step out of that era of answering quickly, because answering quickly does not necessarily mean commercial focus or revenue focus. Now, there is a sense of urgency, of course. I don't say that you shouldn't respond, but answering immediately or sitting in your inbox waiting for your customers to send you an email it's not a good use of your time, and it's not truly strategic work. All right, another mistake that I see happen way too often is you treat your day like a support queue. And this comes back to that whole email inbox thing. But when every single one of your tasks gets the same amount of attention, nothing actually moves your accounts forward. Just like you segment all of your accounts and segment your customers, you want to be doing the same thing with your time. Your highest paying customers or your biggest logos are probably getting more of your time. And that's totally fine. It depends on how you segment your book of business. But this is just your reminder that you can't treat your day as equal segments. You almost have to segment out your day the same way you segment out your accounts. You want to make sure that you have higher priority or higher impact tasks as part of the big chunk of your day, and then the lower value tasks or the tasks that aren't really moving the needle as something you do if you have the time. But if you just treat your entire day like a support queue where it's like, okay, ticket in, ticket out, answer ticket, like it's just never going to result in commercial impact for you. All right, mistake 3 that I see happening too often is waiting for sales to tell you when an upsell is possible. Now, if you do not know your customers' priorities and timings, you are always going to be 2 steps behind. And if you're always waiting for someone else to basically tell you when to do your job, you will never get a promotion. I'm sorry to say this, like in today's day and age, in the world that we live in tech, where reorgs, layoffs, and restructures are happening every 6 to 12 months at every organization, whether you're large enterprise and Fortune 500 companies or the smallest of small startups, if you are waiting for other people to tell you that it's time to do an upsell or to tell you it's time to grow an account, you are on the back foot and you might as well start looking for another job. Now, I know I'm sounding a little bit harsh and I'm getting a little bit wound up, but it's because I see too many people sit in this mistake where it's like, say it's a sales job or it's not my job. Your job is to protect and grow revenue as a customer success professional. And if you aren't protecting your customers for churning and figuring out a way to grow that account, whether you directly own upsells or not, your role is going to have a lot of negative impact that you're not going to want. So just be very mindful that if you are truly in the driver's seat of your career, you need to be the one that's actually taking the lead on upsells. Even if that means warming up the customer to an upsell and then passing it on to a salesperson, that's totally fine. You're still taking ownership, which is what I want you to be doing. All right, mistake 4 is believing that commercial ownership only belongs to sale. This kind of connects back to what I was just saying, but I know a lot of us in customer success, we say the line, I'm not in sales, or I've never done sales, or sales isn't for me. And I get it. There are 2 different muscles here when we're being a salesperson versus a customer success professional. But if you keep saying that every part of revenue ownership only belongs to sale, that mindset alone is going to take away your influence before you even get any. You're basically giving away your power. You actually have the ultimate, the highest power when it comes to customers and customer growth. And if you're suddenly saying, oh, customer growth is only sales' job, you're just giving away all of your power. And remember what I said earlier is I truly, truly believe that customer success, the post-sales team, customer experience, whatever you want to name it, the customer team, anyone who works in a customer-facing role that isn't a direct seller, that is actually the true revenue leaders within a SaaS or technology business. And you don't want to give that revenue power back and away to sales. Sales are always just trying to close the next deal and move on. And that's great. That is exactly what sales is responsible for. They are responsible for closing and moving on. You are responsible for maintaining and growing. And if you're just going to pass all of that off to sales, you are already putting yourself on a back foot. Okay, I've talked about quite a few mistakes now, and I really want to focus in on this podcast episode on what does commercial ownership actually look like for a customer success professional. So let's break it down into a weekly rhythm so that you can also take this away and hopefully move into a revenue-focused weekly rhythm rather than a task-focused weekly rhythm. And I want you to take this away because every revenue advisor, everyone who's focused on revenue that I work with, really work in this intentional way of making sure that every week they're focused as a revenue advisor. So I want you to start your week with a revenue snapshot. So look at renewal dates, account health, usage trends, champions, risks, expansion potential. Just spend like 10, maybe 20 minutes at the very start of your week and maximum like 1 to 2 minutes per each one of your accounts and just look through all of them. Really find the revenue snapshot. Now, I can say go and build a spreadsheet and go do all these fancy things within customer success tools or your CRM. That would be great, but we're just starting super bare bones and basic here and take a revenue snapshot. So this is not something that you need to wait for your manager to tell you to do. This is not something that you need to go and wait for your operations team to build out in your CRM. I just want you, as the CEO of your book of business, I want you to go open up your book of business, look at the 20, 30, 50, 100s of accounts that you have, whatever the number. And I really want you to map out which accounts are up for renewal, which accounts are potentially at risk for churn, which ones are champions are leaving, which ones have increased usage and health score is up, which ones actually have talked about upsells before. Just really map out which accounts matter for this week. And then I want you to choose your top 3 accounts of the week, okay? Not the loudest ones, because that's very, very typical of us, right? Like the loudest or the highest paying customers are the ones that end up getting the most attention from us. But I want you to just look at the 3 that have the most commercial impact for you this week. So the most commercially important ones are the ones that you will intentionally move forward and work with this week. Now, with the first one, I want you to basically go in and have one value conversation with one of these 3 accounts. Obviously, do it with all 3, but this is where you start to see the shift happen. Instead of just doing your regular check-ins, I want you to go and pick these 3 accounts, and I want you to start asking them about their priorities in their business, what roadblocks they may be facing. And if you're listening to this podcast at the start of the year, it would be a great moment to ask those 3 accounts, hey, what are some of your priorities, roadblocks, and budgets for this next quarter? And also ask them what they're measuring success on within their own business. And then this basically starts to create your own natural pipeline, because you're starting to really understand how these 3 accounts, because they're the highest revenue potential accounts right now within your book of business, you start to really understand what matters to them and what outcomes matter to them as well. Now, once you go and have these 3 value calls with these 3 customers, I need you to start documenting the insights, okay? Not tasks, not like create a follow-up email, provide feedback to the product team. I want you to start documenting insights. So if one of those customers said, hey, we have new success milestones of how we're going to be using your product this year, that's an insight. Or, hey, we're having some new people hired on and they're going to be like using the product every single day in Q2, that's an insight that I want you to document. Revenue advisors are going to be tracking goals, risks, and value moments and timelines for their customers, okay? That starts to create a clear picture of a customer journey and the opportunities that lie within that organization. But like I said, you need to have that value call with these companies within the next few weeks. And I want you to really dig in deeply of what matters to them. Remember, forget your product, forget your software, okay? They're not using it. Just ask what matters within their business. And once you have mapped out all of those insights and timelines, you need to now be truly strategic. You need to step back once you have those insights, and I need you to start critically thinking and realizing, okay, if my customer is trying to expand into new markets, or they're hiring new team members to actually go and start using our product in different marketing funnels, or whatever the reason is, once they start using your tool in a different way, that is a moment, that is an opportunity for growth and revenue alignment. But what you need to do is start to realize that their business goals need to connect back to the product and usage of your product. So once you actually have them saying their business goals, or saying their blockers, or saying their success metrics for the year, you need to take a step back, critically think, and actually decide, okay, this is how I'm going to be strategic. Strategic, by the way, isn't doing more tasks. Strategic is actually being a business advisor and a consultant to your customers. So once you have all of those insights documented in whichever way you want, again, you can do it in your CRM, do it wherever is comfortable for you, okay? I want you to share these insights with the account manager or your sales partner, or of course, if you're responsible for the actual upsell, then this is important for you to capture yourself. But if you are not selling, I want you to make sure that you are aligning clearly, that you have exact alignment of what drives expansions and deals forward. And I need you to go and share that with your sales counterpart. All right, now that we did that first part of aligning your week, let's move into the next part, which is product deep work time, okay? So maybe like 30 minutes or so a day minimum, and I want you to proactively plan in these 30 minutes. So think about renewal strategies or mapping for expansion opportunities, okay? No inbox, no calendar, no Slack, no chaos, okay? Let me take you back to when I was first promoted into a leadership role. I had a CSM who was on my team who loved every customer and was loved dearly by every customer. Honestly, they adored her. She answered everything. She fixed everything. She was always available to them. But her renewals really, really struggled, okay? Her expansions were super quiet and she could not understand why. And she thought that being responsive was the same as value. So what we ended up doing when I was working with her is we made one shift together. Every Monday, she picked 3 accounts that mattered commercially. She focused her energy there. She led proper value conversations. She started understanding where the business goals sat and also what the business decision makers cared about within those 3 customers. And once she actually started to do that, what the customer actually needed next from her was advice, was clear trajectory of what to do next. And within the next quarter, her renewals started to stabilize and she identified 3 expansion opportunities. And leadership finally saw her as the advisor that she always wanted to be. And she was really close, but she was, again, focused so much on tasks that nothing else was really moving the needle. And I just want to remind you that focusing on tasks is not going to actually result in you leading those renewals and upsells, okay? Nothing else changed. She still was responsive. She still actually helped them whenever she could. But what she did was map out their priorities and really made it super, super clear to them exactly what growth they can see while using our product and service. She stepped into that advisor role, nothing else. And just that one shift made all the difference to her renewals and her upsells. So if you have made it to this point of the podcast, you know I love to give you a challenge in my solo episodes. So your challenge for this week is I want you to choose your top 3 commercially important accounts, not the ones that are asking for helps, but the ones that actually maybe have renewal or expansion potential, okay? The ones that truly matter when it comes to revenue. Then I want you to schedule one value conversation with each one. Go in with your curiosity hat, and I want you to ask about their business priorities, their business goals, their blockers, and their timelines, okay? You're not pitching here. You are doing deeper level discovery, okay? And I want you to do this for 7 days. And you'll start to feel the difference immediately, okay? Your conversations will start to deepen. Your confidence will start to grow when it comes to asking truly strategic questions. And suddenly commercial ownership will become so much more natural for you, okay? But I need you to actually put it into practice and realize that just doing everything that comes into your inbox is not going to result in revenue ownership. I know it seems scary, and I know sometimes a lot of people I work with tell me, well, I don't want to ask about their business because it's just a part of the business I don't get or I don't understand. But take the time to understand you are their business advisor. That is your role. I know you're a customer success manager at your company, but really to your customer, you're a business advisor. You're there to help them grow in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through money, like revenue growth, whether it's through optimization, so you're helping them build processes or optimizing how they work, or maybe you're just helping them become better at their jobs, or maybe reducing risk or helping them make sure their platform is super stable. Whatever it is, you are helping that business grow. And you need to go in with a curiosity hat to help businesses grow. That is the biggest unlock and the biggest shift that you can make to be truly strategic. All right, if this episode hit home and you're ready to become a confident revenue-generating customer success pro, then join me inside of Rev Up Academy. This is exactly what we teach. You learn how to create revenue rhythm, how to lead strategic conversations, and how to build commercial confidence without ever feeling like a salesperson. The doors are going to be opening soon, so go ahead and visit thecustomersuccesspro.com/rev up to join our waitlist or grab your seat for the next cohort. And do not forget to subscribe, rate the show, and share this episode with your CS bestie who needs to hear this shift today. I cannot wait to see you inside of RevUp Academy, and I will catch you next week for our next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Customer Success Pro podcast. I hope you picked up something valuable to take back to your team. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took just 10 seconds to leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps more CS pros like yourself discover the show. And creating new episodes takes a lot of work, so leaving a nice review keeps me motivated to keep creating. And don't forget to hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcast episodes. I drop a new episode every Wednesday packed with practical tips. And if you've got a topic you'd love for me to cover or want to be a guest on my show, send me a message. All the details are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. And hey, if this episode helped you, share it with a fellow CSM or CS leader. Remember, sharing is caring. Cheers to your CS journey, and I'll catch you next week for our next episode.